The revulsion on Ethan's face was visceral. He pinched his nose, surveying the cramped, squalid apartment as if it were a garbage heap he'd been forced to enter. He couldn't believe he had survived 3 years in this filth. His men were already tearing the place apart, their movements efficient and brutal. He tossed a stack of bills that struck Liam across the cheek before scattering on the grimy floor. Ethan's voice was cold, devoid of any warmth Liam once knew, commanding him to get out of the city and never let him see his face again. One of Ethan's bodyguards shoved Liam to the ground, pressing his face into the worn linoleum. Another pricked his finger, forcing a bloody print onto a document. Liam watched it all with a profound emptiness, his eyes downcast. He had tried to do the right thing when he first found Ethan, reporting him to the police and posting flyers, but the man had clung to him, refusing to be sent away. As he tried to leave after the document was signed, Ethan's voice cut through the air, sharp and imperious. He told Liam to find a time to get the permanent mark washed off. Liam just shook his head. The procedure was excruciatingly painful. He told Ethan that he didn't know the truth. The day Liam found him by the bridge was the day he had planned to jump. Ethan's disgust only deepened. He couldn't comprehend how a human could live in such a place. He motioned for his men to clear out every last item. Liam scrambled to his feet, placing himself in front of Ethan, insisting he had no right to touch his things. His eyes were red, but his chin was lifted in a final act of defiance. Ethan didn't even deign to touch him, finding the idea repulsive. A simple gesture sent a bodyguard forward, who threw Liam aside. Ethan warned him that not a single hair from this apartment was to be left behind. He sneered, wondering aloud if a lowlife like Liam might try to use some forgotten object for blackmail later. After all, what Ethan spent on a single dinner was more than Liam could earn in a lifetime. Liam shook his head, his voice certain. He assured Ethan he would never ask him for money. Ethan let out a harsh laugh, questioning Liam's motives from the beginning. He accused Liam of taking him in only because he sensed his wealthy background, scoffing at the idea of such selfless charity from someone who could barely feed himself. And Ethan wasn't entirely wrong. Liam was no saint. He was drowning in debt, living in a crumbling tenement building where the bathroom was communal and fetching water meant waiting in line. Worse, he was sick. That afternoon by the bridge, he had just come from the clinic, a diagnosis for liver cancer clutched in his hand. He couldn't afford the treatment. So it wasn't that he found Ethan. It was Ethan who had latched onto him. A desperate man with a bloody, crusted wound on his head, clinging to his leg and speaking nonsense. Liam had dragged him to the nearest police precinct, convinced he was dealing with a fool. He had tried to coax him, telling him to wait there while the officers found his parents. But Ethan had gripped his shirt, accusing him of lying. Liam tried another tactic, asking if he was hungry. When Ethan nodded, Liam saw his chance, promising to go buy him food. In reality, Liam was a man on his way to die. He didn't have a cent on him. He walked back to the bridge, and just as he was about to climb the railing, strong arms wrapped around his waist. Ethan's face was buried in his back, his muffled voice accusing him again of being a liar. It was then Liam realized the man wasn't a simpleton. He tried taking him back to the precinct again and again, but each time Ethan would escape and find him, as if he had a tracking device. Defeated and exhausted, Liam finally relented, offering him a single night's stay on the condition that they would post missing person flyers the next day. He then made Ethan record a video, promising a $100,000 reward to Liam upon being reunited with his family. Ethan, docile and compliant, recited his name and the promise. Liam had smiled at the video, thinking the money would be enough for a decent burial plot. That night, when Ethan complained of hunger, Liam could only suggest they go to sleep, as sleep was free. Later, Ethan stood over him like a specter, unable to sleep from the hunger. Liam, rubbing his face in exhaustion, led him downstairs to drink tap water. The next day, realizing he had no money for printing flyers, Liam took Ethan to a construction site. The pay was low, but it included a meal. Ethan, despite his refined mannerisms, was surprisingly strong, and the foreman was pleased. For months, they worked by day and posted handmade flyers by night. When no calls came, Liam concluded that Ethan's family must have abandoned him. He tried to tell Ethan, but the man just pulled him closer in his sleep, murmuring that as long as Liam wanted him, it was enough. For 3 years, Liam continued to post online, but his efforts were met with silence. Ethan settled into that life in that place Ethan now called a garbage heap. One rainy night, the alleyways flooded, and Ethan carried Liam home on his back. That evening, Ethan came down with a raging fever. The room filled with the potent scent of an alpha in heat, and Liam realized what was happening. As he turned to get water, Ethan grabbed him from behind, his nose brushing against the scent blocker patch on Liam's neck. He asked what it was. Liam deflected, calling it a tattoo, but Ethan mumbled that Liam always treated him like a fool. As Liam tried to leave to buy medicine, Ethan locked the door, pressing him against the cold wall. His hot breath was on Liam's neck as his teeth caught the edge of the patch, slowly peeling it away. He'd whispered in a voice thick with excitement that he didn't know Liam had a tattoo of an omega's gland. He begged for help, his body trembling, and Liam, overwhelmed by the pheromones, found himself unable to resist. Later, Ethan found a way to make money in the stock market. With their small initial capital, he managed to earn a surprising amount, all of which he gave to Liam to open a small corner store. He refused to move to a better place, afraid he would lose Liam if they left. Liam never told him about his illness, hiding his medication in vitamin bottles. He never told him about the past that kept him chained to that neighborhood. Now, Ethan had erased that life. He had destroyed the store and forced Liam to sign away his ownership. The phone was snatched from Liam's pocket, wiped down meticulously, and handed to Ethan. He scrolled through the photo gallery, filled with pictures of them together. They were all pictures Ethan himself had taken, insisting they were for when they were old and their memories faded. Ethan deleted them all, but then he saw a video. He played it, the recording of him promising Liam a $100,000 reward. A cold smile touched Ethan's lips. He tore a check from his checkbook and threw it at Liam. It was for $1 million, 10 times the amount. He asked if it was enough, then told him to get out. Liam scrambled to pick up the check. $1 million. It was enough for the best plot in the cemetery. He felt a strange surge of gratitude. He thanked Ethan for the extra 3 years of life and for the luxurious final resting place. With a genuine smile, he clutched the check to his chest and walked away. He was stopped again by Ethan's voice. He was to let him know when he was going to a clinic. Ethan would accompany him to have the permanent mark removed. Liam shook his head, saying it wasn't necessary. The procedure was too painful. Ethan scoffed, assuming it was a negotiation for more money, and accused him of being a gold-digging opportunist dreaming of a fairy tale life. He said that once the mark was gone, no one would care if Liam lived or died. And he was right. No one would care. Liam had always been invisible. He wondered how Ethan had even noticed him on that bridge. After cashing the check, he went straight to the city's finest memorial park and purchased a plot, the entire transaction smooth and efficient. Back in his empty, hollowed-out apartment, he realized his pain medication was gone, thrown out with everything else. A wave of dizziness overcame him, and he collapsed on the stairwell. His last coherent thought was a small bit of relief that his ID was in his pocket so he wouldn't be an anonymous corpse. In a haze, he felt a strange warmth, a lightness, as if his soul were escaping its prison. He thought he heard his name, a faint whisper. He seemed to drift towards the sound, and suddenly he was watching Ethan, in a lavish bar, shattering a glass in his hand. Ethan was clutching his chest, his face contorted in pain. People rushed to him, asking what was wrong. Someone asked who Liam was, the name Ethan had just muttered. Ethan, recovering, his forehead slick with sweat, scanned the room with narrowed eyes and said to consider him a dead man. Liam watched, a silent observer, as Ethan stepped onto a balcony and lit a cigarette, inhaling with a practiced ease Liam had never seen. A sweet voice called out to Ethan. A beautiful, fair-skinned Omega named Caleb wrapped his arms around Ethan, asking where he'd been for 3 years. Ethan's hand traced Caleb's jawline, his voice husky as he asked if Caleb had missed him. Caleb's face flushed as he confessed that he had. Ethan's thumb pressed into the gland on Caleb's neck, the look in his eyes predatory and familiar. It was the same look he had when he wanted Liam, though the amnesiac Ethan had been softer, more pleading. As the moment between them intensified, Ethan's phone rang. He ignored it. It rang again. Annoyed, he answered, snapping that it had better be important. A paramedic's voice informed him that his friend had collapsed and was at the community health clinic with faint life signs. The name of the community made Ethan freeze for a fraction of a second. Then he stated coolly that they had the wrong number. The paramedic insisted he was the emergency contact. The emergency contact. Liam had forgotten Ethan had set that up. Ethan's jaw tightened in anger. He told the paramedic to relay a message to Liam. He wasn't falling for the act, and even if he were really dying, it had nothing to do with him. The paramedic pleaded, saying Liam had lost the will to live. Ethan's response was cold. Then let him die. He hung up and pushed Caleb away, his mood soured. Caleb, curious, asked who could rattle him so much. Ethan ignored him, pulling up his banking app. He saw the $1 million check had been cashed that afternoon. A mocking smile spread across his face as his body relaxed. He called Liam a common extortionist, figuring the million wasn't enough. Caleb chimed in, remarking on the greed of the poor and predicting Liam would try again tomorrow. Ethan sighed, then wrote another check, this time for $5 million. He handed it to Caleb, telling him to deliver it tomorrow. He reasoned that Liam had, after all, taken care of him for 3 years. $6 million in total should be enough to sever all ties. The next morning, Ethan's phone rang with an unknown number. He answered. It was a doctor, asking if he was Liam's next of kin. Ethan stated that if it was about money, he wasn't interested. The doctor informed him that Liam had passed away from organ failure and asked him to come for the final arrangements. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Ethan's face twitched. He accused them of using the same trick twice, but his voice lacked conviction. He put on his jacket, his movements hurried. Just as he was leaving, Caleb arrived, cheerfully announcing he had delivered the check personally into Liam's hands. Ethan checked his account and saw a $5 million withdrawal. The tension left his shoulders, replaced by a weary resignation. He hadn't slept, and the anxiety finally gave way to exhaustion. He sent Caleb away, saying he had other business. He had found a lead on the person who caused his accident 3 years ago. He interrogated a line of hired thugs. One of them, a low-level tech guy, broke down and confessed. He had been paid to scrub Ethan's existence from the internet. And, he added, just the day before Ethan returned, he had deleted the latest of a series of missing person posts. Someone had been posting them for 3 years. Ethan staggered back, a hand against the wall for support. The man's words hit him with physical force. 3 years. Liam had never stopped trying to find his family. Ethan's nails dug into his palms. He hadn't known Liam's identity, hadn't known anything, and yet he had tried. And what had Ethan done? He had doubted him, insulted him, destroyed him. He ordered his driver to take him to find Liam. He searched the apartment, the destroyed corner store, everywhere. He sent his men to scour the neighborhood, a desperate hope warring with a dreadful certainty. He didn't want to go to the hospital. Finally, with nowhere else to look, he went from the emergency room to the morgue. And there he saw him. A nurse approached, asking if he was family. He nodded, his hands clenched so tightly his knuckles were white. The nurse chastised him gently. They had called so many times. She explained that Liam had arrived with no will to live, that perhaps if Ethan had come, if he had said something, anything, it might have made a difference. Ethan didn't cry. He stood in silence for a long moment before his voice, trembling and hoarse, gave a single command. He wanted to see Caleb within the half hour. He dismissed everyone from the room. Alone with Liam's body, the first words he spoke were, "You're such a fool." He went on, his voice cracking, asking if Liam knew he'd lost out on $6 million. Why hadn't he known about the cancer? Why had Liam posted flyers for 3 years? He realized the pills he'd thrown away weren't vitamins. It was his fault. He had killed him. He began to hit himself, again and again, raw sobs tearing from his chest. Why had he destroyed their home? Why hadn't he answered the phone? He stopped abruptly, his eyes falling on the death certificate and the attached autopsy report. The report detailed a life of horror. Multiple defensive injuries, numerous healed fractures on his ribs, ulna, and radius, consistent with long-term abuse. Fatty liver disease from chronic malnutrition. The report specified that the injuries were sustained during his adolescent years, between the ages of 12 and 16. Ethan went to Liam's old neighborhood, the one he was so desperate to escape. He spoke to neighbors and pieced together the story. Liam's parents, addicted to gambling, had used him as collateral for a massive loan shark debt, then abandoned him. He was kept in a dog cage, fed from a bowl on the floor, until he managed to escape at 16. Ethan found them all. The loan shark, now a seemingly kind family man. Liam's parents, who had started a new family. He subjected them to the same treatment, the dog cage, the dog food, before ensuring they would spend the rest of their lives in prison. The funeral was a grand, lonely affair. The more lavish the flowers and the more soaring the music, the more empty the cavernous hall felt. Liam's memorial portrait was a painting, commissioned because Ethan had personally deleted every photograph. The artist, a master of his craft, couldn't capture a man he'd never seen alive. Ethan kept insisting it wasn't right, that it didn't look like him, until the frustrated artist left. He had the apartment and the corner store rebuilt, perfect replicas of how they had been. He lived there. By day, he was the powerful heir to the Gunter Corporation. By night, he curled up on the small bed, breathing in an emptiness where Liam's scent used to be. The tears came silently now. Liam watched him, a phantom in the room, unable to offer comfort. His own time was running out. He was fading completely. With his last wisp of consciousness, he formed a final thought, a desperate wish that it could somehow reach the man who was weeping for him. "Thank you,"